Welcome back, guys, to another video brought to you by your one and only literary pharaoh. As you can see, I have this huge knot on my forehead. It's a cyst. I'm supposed to be getting it removed. Um, it's really annoying. It doesn't hurt. It's just there, and it's an eyesore. So hopefully, it's not a distraction to you guys as it is to me. I think I'm probably more worried about it than you guys are. You guys are here for the content, not here because you guys are worried about any kind of blemish that's on my face. I wanted to talk about this Ostarine thing that's going on in boxing, and I wanted to kind of give a response to Blue Blood Sports, a commentary on it. And I watch his channel. Very, very good guy. Very, very hardworking. He puts out probably like 5 videos a day. Probably the guy's amazing. And this is not a this is one of those agree to disagree things. This is not something that I'm not against him as a person. I'm not against Blue Blood as a person. I don't know him personally, but I am against. I do disagree with his take on this last topic that I just heard him talk about with the Ostarine thing. I'm going to first of all show a video of him talking about it and give my response there, and then I'm going to show you the ramifications of what this Austrian thing means, because just because they've raised the legal limit, there has to be a reason why. And I think that it's bigger than just fighters cheating intentionally. And I'm gonna play the video here in a second. Sure, thinkers, you have to ask yourself, why would the WBC raise the legal limit of a potential drug that gives somebody an unfair advantage? So there has to be a much more in-depth look at it, because if you just look at it for just, oh, they're allowing people to use illegal drugs to have it in their system, it's much more nuanced than that. It's much more deeper than that. And you have to ask yourselves question, why are they allowing that? There has to be a reason. I don't think that boxing in and of itself is promoting cheating. There has to be a deeper cause for the effect of them saying, hey, we're going to allow the legal limit to be raised. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to play what he has to say. I'm going to stop momentarily to give my commentary, but there's certain things that he says, of course, that I agree with, but for the most part, I don't agree with his position on this. Let me start this here. Give me a second. This is my live stream here. It's not allowing me. Let me see this again. Okay, there it goes. I'm trying to shift them. I can see both on my screen. You guys can't see what I see, but I'm trying to do something here. So just uh, pardon me for this technical delay. Okay, I think here we are. I think we have it here. Okay, we have it here. So all right. So this is Blue Blood Sports. So I'm gonna play what he had to say.
Absolute shame. Absolute, absolute shame. Absolute shame. What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, and I'm back at y'all with another one. So, the World Boxing Council, better known as the WBC, President Mauricio Suleiman and board of 32 members are raising the amount allowed levels of Ostarine that can be in your system legally to not get stripped and not get the fight canceled or overturned, like we seen last April, not this past April, but the April before, in the debacle and the bizarre situation between Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney, to which Ryan Garcia got suspended, the fight got overturned, and he had to pay $1 million fine. Ryan Garcia initially won a majority decision, dropping Devin Haney 3 times, and that all went by the wayside because he cheated.
Okay, so I'm going to stop there. You heard him say because he cheated. So whenever you hear somebody use the term he cheated, that denotes or implies that you had premeditation, you had intent, you had motive to gain an unfair advantage. And I think this is where Blue Blood has to be very careful in how he phrases that. Rather than saying he cheated, you can just say it was found in his system that he had a banned substance in his system. But to say cheating is to know everything that happened in his on his side, as if you were there with him the entire camp, and you knew in his mind that he set out to ingest illegal supplements to gain an unfair advantage over Devin the Dream Haney. We can't say cheating until we have evidence without equivocation that lays that indictment or puts on that sort of jacket on Ryan Garcia as a cheat. We can't say that, but that seems to be the popular narrative now. And I'm not a pro Ryan fan. I'm pro boxing, but I'm all about fairness. I don't care who wins. Like I was going for Norman to win, and he got beat. And I like what I saw from Devin the Dream Haney. I can have who I want to win a fight, but I'm never pro boxer over boxing. And this to me is a bigger issue with boxing than just a Ryan Garcia thing. You'll have many people leaving comments saying things of the effect of, oh, he's a cheat, he's a cheat, he's a cheat. We know that Ryan Garcia's track record, he's never tested positive for any banned substance. So all of a sudden, he just decides to just take a banned substance against Devin the Dream Haney. He didn't take a banned substance against Tank Davis. He didn't take a banned substance against Luke. I think his name is Campbell, the guy that dropped him. And Campbell was I think he was a gold medalist. He was an Olympian. He didn't take anything with them. So all of a sudden, he's a cheat. To me, a cheat means that number one, you have to know that they have the motive to gain an unfair advantage. Number two, they have to have a track record of empirical evidence to show that this is something that they're known to do. Ryan Garcia is not known to do that. And I think that's the frustrating part about this is that when a fighter tests positive for something that's banned, we automatically rush to judgment to say that they're a cheat. And we have to be very careful in doing that. Okay, we have to be very careful in doing that because there have been times when a boxer or an athlete in general has tested positive for a particular substance, and they come to find out that hey, the fighter really did not know. They really did not know. So we at least have to give the fighter or the athlete the benefit of the doubt when it's their first time. Now, if this is something that happens consistently more than once, more than twice, more than 3 times, and of course you can lay the label of a cheat on that person because to be unlucky happens, but to be continually unlucky means that you're deliberately doing this. So you got to remove luck or unluck out of the equation and just say this is just something that this fighter does. Okay. So that's number one. That's what I disagree with. I don't think that Ryan Garcia is a cheat. And I don't think that any boxer who doesn't have who doesn't have a track record of cheating is a cheat, especially when it deals with the supplement industry when in terms of Ostarine.
Now, we have another champion, Subriel Matias, for the WBC that just tested positive for Ostarine. And now the WBC is going to allow him to continue to fight Dalton Smith. and defend.
So you hear Blue Blood say another fighter who got tested for positive for Ostarine. We know that Sabril Mateen is not a dirty fighter. Okay, as far as we know that he's not a dirty boxer. So the fact that he mentions and says another fighter, critical thinking skills has to come into play here. If the if the WBC is saying that we're going to raise the legal limit of Ostarine, it means that there's something going on with the supplemental industry, with the supplement industry in terms of cross contamination with Ostarine in there. We have boxers who take supplements, and some supplements will say it has Ostarine on the ingredients. And some supplements will say it does not have Ostarine, or you won't even mention Ostarine on the ingredient label. But that does not mean that the supplement you're taking doesn't have the cross contamination of Ostarine in there. The supplement industry is very competitive, very, very competitive. What that means is that in order to gain an unfair advantage in the supplement industry, you'll have manufacturers manufacture a product and intentionally remove or intentionally not add a particular supplement or an ingredient into that supplement to make it seem as if their product is much stronger than the other person's product who doesn't have that hidden supplement in there. So let me phrase it to you this way. If you have manufacturer A and manufacturer B, they're both in competition with one another in terms of selling supplements, right? Manufacturer A says, you know what, in order for me to gain an unfair advantage, I'm going to put Ostarine in my product, but I'm not going to say that it's in there. So when you do take the supplement and you do gain some sort of an advantage, you will think that my product without Ostarine is greater than manufacturer B, who actually is selling what they sell. They're selling a product with the ingredients listed on the label, and all the ingredients that are listed on the label are exactly what's in the supplement, nothing hidden. So when manufacturer B sells his product and athletes ingest that, they may not see the same results as manufacturer A. Why? Because manufacturer A has hidden ingredients in their supplements that they did not add on the label. So competition happens both ways. You have competition in the ring with boxers trying to gain an advantage, whether it's through training the right way and being clean, or you have fighters that do try to cut corners and take supplements to gain an unfair advantage. But when you take that out of the scope of boxing and you enter into the realm of the supplement industry, the supplement industry in and of itself are competitive, right? So you have competition there, and you have different manufacturers that are trying to gain an unfair advantage with one another. So that type of competition with the supplement industry, it leaks into the sport of boxing, because the boxers are the ones that are taking these supplements, and they end up reaping the symptoms of the competition that first started with the manufacturers, if that makes sense. So the fact that you have multiple athletes that are testing positive for Ostarine lets you know that it's a supplement industry issue. Okay, it lets you know that's a supplement industry issue. And I'm sorry for the background noise that's going on. It's my kids making a lot of noise. Hopefully, it's not too much noise in the background, or that you guys are getting too much feedback with that. Okay, so I'm going to continue to play his side.
His titles, because they're saying that the amount in his system should be allowed. Ostarine is a synthetic drug. It is not natural, which means it had to get put into your system, right? And now research is showing it's very little chances that it's cross contamination. And if there's anything in your system, why Ryan Garcia just
I don't agree with that. That there's little chance that there's cross contamination. So with him saying that, this is what that means. This is what it also implies. This also implies that these fighters are intentionally purchasing supplements that they know will be banned, but they're doing it in the guise or giving off the veneer that it's being done in good taste, right? I'm just taking a supplement, and the supplement has the stuff on the ingredients is legal. I don't know. So we're implying that these fighters are intentionally going out buying supplements that they know are dirty, but the supplements are being pushed as if the supplements are clean, but they have hidden ingredients in there, and there's no chance of cross contamination. But yet the WBC is allowing the legal limit. The story doesn't add up. The fact that the WBC is raising the legal limit on Ostarine lets us know that there's a Ostarine issue. There's a supplement issue in the industry of cross contamination actually being an issue. Because if cross contamination was not an issue, you would just leave the Ostarine limit as is and not touch it. The reason why you raise the level is because more often than not, Matias and Ryan Garcia are not going to be the only two boxers that are going to test positive for a substance like Ostarine. It can happen to Haney. It can happen to any boxer. And we have to be on the side of the boxer because these boxers have not shown or have a track record of using illegal substances. So all of a sudden, they just decide to just use it. It didn't add up. So when Blue Blood says, I'm going to rewind it a little bit. When he says that there's a small chance of cross contamination, he didn't say no chance. He says small chance. If there's a small chance of cross contamination, then you better believe that there's a chance of cross contamination. It doesn't matter if you try to dictate the percentages. Oh, it's 0% chance, 5% chance, 10% chance. If there's a chance, there's a chance. And that's the issue. That the fact that there's a chance of cross contamination, so you can have a fighter who goes into training camp with the intention of being clean, and with the intention of being clean, right? And they end up testing positive for a banned substance that they did not know. Because of that chance, Blue Blood, and anybody else who's listening, because of that chance, that means that it's a possibility that cross-contamination does exist in the sport of boxing. So then to all of a sudden hurl the adjective of cheat towards a boxer who we don't know if he really did try to cheat or did not try to cheat. We don't know that. But we have to start giving these boxers the benefit of the doubt. All right?
If there's anything in your system, why Ryan Garcia just confessed and pleaded out? Because if there's any in your system, it had to get put there.
Well, Blue Blood, he had to confess because when he got tested, it was in his system. He couldn't deny it, so he had to confess and he had to plead. He wasn't trying to hide it. So you got to be careful when you listen to content creators. This is not anything against Blue Blood. I'm just bringing these things out to let you know that sometimes we can be quick to put out information and put out content, but we have to be very, very intentional with our word usage. When you say that he confessed, it makes it seem like no one knew that it was in his system. He was tested. It was in his system. He couldn't deny it. You can't deny the science. It's in your blood, right? So he can't just say, no, it's not in there. The test shows that it's in there. So it's not him confessing. It's him agreeing that it's in his system. It's not a confession.
Ryan Garcia, they're saying he had 60 times the amount of limit in his system. That's why they took the stance that they took, where they're saying it's not the same thing for Subriel Matias. This goes back to the situation we had with Canelo Alvarez when he tested for clenbuterol, and they said, well, this is in tainted meat in Mexico, and so they raised the amount of levels you can have in your system. I want to say shouts out to Sergio Mora for going in on the WBC. Let's listen to Sergio Mora and Chris Mannix because he goes in on them for being clowns and allowing this.
That up for me as eloquent as you did because I'm just going to tear it down now. I don't care how much nanograms or how much is in his body. It's in his body, Chris Mannix. Just like when you get stopped for your DUI and they give you a breathalyzer test, if you blow 0.08 and over, you're going to get arrested for a DUI. But if you blow...
Right, exactly. Because at the end of the day, it's in your system. And like Sergio Mora is going to so elegantly put it, you are cycling off. It shouldn't be in your system at all. Right. Like he's saying, if you get pulled over, you could be under the limit, but that's because you could be now, it could be leaving your body. It doesn't mean that you wasn't absolutely drunk.
So this is what, okay, this is the position of Blue Blood and the Sergio, the guy that he just played a snippet of what he said. They're basically coming from a position of, you can either have the glass half full or half empty. In this case, they're coming from a half empty perspective, which is the negative perspective, right? Because you can take different positions. You can have a different disposition in how you start. And then based upon the evidence that you get, you can change your mind. They're already coming from the standpoint that Ryan Garcia is a cheat. So that means that no matter what system, no matter how amount of Ostarine he had in his system, I think he said 16 times more or 60 times more, whatever he said, no matter the amount that was in his system, even if it's a small amount, what they're saying, what Blue Blood is saying and what the Sergio guy is saying is that it doesn't matter how much you have in your system, but you could have had a lot more in your system and you're cycling off. So the fact that you have something in your system means that you had a lot in your system that it just hadn't got out of your system completely yet. So they're using the alcohol analogy to kind of make a connection. Just like a person can start drinking at 1 p.m., right? And be fully drunk around 1 p.m. But then if they get tested, let me say they get tested like 5-6 hours later, the amount of alcohol in your system after urinating the urine out and getting all the stuff out of your system, after that time has passed, the amount of alcohol in your system may have decreased. So what they're saying, they're using alcohol analogy to say that the fact that Ryan Garcia got tested later and he still had Ostarine in his system, it means that he had a bunch of Ostarine in his system before, which gave him the unfair advantage against Devin the Dream Haney. Whereas an alcoholic who's drunk at 1 p.m., if he gets tested for alcohol, it takes a breathalyzer test to test the amount of alcohol in his system. Let's say he gets tested hours later after 1 p.m. Let's say he gets tested around 4 p.m., right? Or let's 3 p.m. I'm just making up a number here. The point is that he gets tested later after he's at his climax or at his zenith of being drunk. He's hit the apex of his drunkenness, right? He's completely far from being sober at this point. He doesn't get tested at his highest point. A couple of hours later, after he's urinated out most of the toxins in his body and urinated most of the alcohol, he gets tested with the breathalyzer test about 2 hours later, and he still has alcohol in his system. But the difference with the alcohol in his system is radically shifted and is radically changed because it's not at the starting point. So when Blue Blood is talking like this and Sergio are talking like this, they are already implying with a half glass empty mentality, the negative position, to say that, yeah, Ryan Garcia must have been on Ostarine heavily because by the time he got tested, he still had a little bit in his system. And if you have a little bit in your system, it implies that you had a lot in your system. That's what they're saying. And it could be true. But the question you have to ask yourself, did Ryan knowingly take Ostarine? Number one. Number two, is there a bigger issue with the supplement industry causing the WBC to raise the legal limit because they know that if they do not raise the legal limit, this is going to be a problem. This is going to be an epidemic in boxing. You're going to find a lot more fighters being testing positive for this Ostarine in their system.
It could be time now is leaving your body. It's in your body.
0.7 and under, they're going to let you go. But you still have alcohol in your system. If you blow 0.7 or 0.01, you still have alcohol in your system. They're going to let you go because you didn't break technically the law, but you still have that substance in your body. So the fact that the WBC has this protocol of we're gonna weigh it down to the nanograms. Nonsense, man. That's why they're my loser of the week. It should be zero tolerance. 0.01 should be enough for anybody to get disqualified because that means it's in your system.
Well, Sergio talking like this, he's not leaving any room to understand why they're doing this. The boxing commission are not idiots. They understand. We understand how things. We understand with time you cycle off of things. Then the potency of a particular chemical in your system is not going to remain at the same level that it was when you first began. We understand that. But it's a bigger issue, as I said before. It's not that, oh, by the time we tested them, it's not that much in their system, so we're going to just raise the legal limit because these Ostarine levels are low in these boxers. No, the fact that, let's start with the primary position of what boxing, what they felt about Ostarine. Ostarine was just a banned substance, period. It didn't matter how much you had in your system, okay? So Ostarine is the no-no. It's the no. We don't do that. I don't care if you have 1/10 of a gram, 10 milligrams, 50 milligrams. It doesn't matter how much you have in your system, right? If you just have any in your system, you're done. Hence with Ryan Garcia, right? Okay. Fast forward, because I want us to use our brains here. If the boxing commission says, you know what, let's raise the legal limit. They're not saying let's raise the legal limit because it's just small amounts of Ostarine in these boxers. Let's not make it a big deal. No. They're not doing it because of that. They know that there's a problem with cross-contamination in the supplement industry. That in order to clean house, we're going to have to deal with the root problem and not deal with the symptom. The symptom is the suspended boxers all the time for having any traces of Ostarine in their blood system. That would be dealing with the symptom. But in order to continue to have boxing generate revenue and not suspend all these fighters, that's what's going to end up happening. You're going to have a lot of fighters being suspended, or you'll have fighters who have fights, and none of these fights will mean anything. Like the Devin the Dream Haney fight and Ryan Garcia. It's like the fight never really happened, even though it happened, but it didn't go on any one of their records. Devin the Dream Haney didn't take a loss, nor did Ryan Garcia take a win. It was like a no-show. It's like the fight never did happen, even though it happened. Do you want that to happen for boxing, where we're getting a lot of these great fights and you have a bunch of boxers that are testing positive for this Ostarine, for Ostarine? But the cause of these boxers being having Ostarine in their system and them testing positive for this banned substance is because of a deeper issue with the supplement industry, with them being so competitive and them not being honest with their products. It's a deeper issue. So the commission is stuck between a rock and a hard place. So their position is that, okay, let's just raise the legal limit so we don't have all these fights being banned, because we have to ask yourself, does Ostarine really give you that much of an advantage? Does it make you a better boxer stylistically? Does it make you stronger? Or are these boxers taking these supplements to cut weight, to increase protein, to increase testosterone, which gives you more energy to cut weight? It's not it's an unfair advantage in terms of helping you cut weight, because so many fighters are fighting below their walk-around weight. I'm totally against boxers that weight drain themselves in order to make weight. It's not healthy. We saw the radical shift with Devin the Dream Haney in his last fight. He's fighting more in his true weight. And actually, I think he can be a 154 pounder because he's actually a bigger guy than what people think. The guy was fighting at 135, totally drained. We did not see the power there. People thought that Devin the Dream Haney could not punch. All that changed against Brian Norman Jr., who was supposed to be the bigger puncher. So the point that I'm making here is that, Sergio, you can't take such an extreme take on something when you don't know the reason why they're raising the limit. You guys are assuming that they're raising the limit because the traces of Ostarine found in these boxer systems are so low, so it's not a big deal. Let's just raise it. No, it's not about the Ostarine being low or high. The amount of Ostarine in a boxer system is a moot point. It's a moot point. The only point that matters is that there's a cross-contamination going on in the sport of boxing in terms of supplements. And it's not just going to happen. It's not going to be just right. It's going to be many more boxers that are going to go through this. So they're trying to get out ahead of it. What you guys want is for them to just say ban it. Then what's going to happen is going to be a blackout on the sport of boxing. You're going to have all these great fights happen. Then when these test results come back, then the fight never happened. Oh, Beterbiev against the monster, David Benavidez. Let's say they had a fight, and let's say David Benavidez won, and then it comes out that David Benavidez had Ostarine in his blood system. Then that fight never happened. Then another fight didn't happen. They're trying to get out ahead of this. Rather than being reactive, they're being responsive. They're coming out with a response to this Ostarine issue. The issue is not how much you have in your system. The issue is that the problem of Ostarine being in these products is something that you can't evade. You can't escape that.
How the hell? You're probably cycling out of it because that means it's in your system. How the hell? You're probably cycling out of it. I'm tired of it. There should be a zero tolerance. None of that nanogram past this protocol.
It's hard to have, Sergio, it's hard to have zero tolerance when there's an issue with the supplement industry. I keep repeating that. You're basically punishing the fighters for something that's not their fault. But again, you guys are coming from the position, you and Blue Blood are coming from the position that these athletes are knowingly trying to cheat. And that's not the case, because these boxers don't have a track record of doing that.
We're gonna weigh it down to the nanograms. Nonsense, man. That's why they're my loser of the week. It should be zero tolerance. 0.01 should be enough for anybody to get disqualified, because that means it's in your system. How the hell did it get in your system? You're probably cycling out of it. I'm tired of it. There should be a zero tolerance. None of that nanogram nonsense that you just told me about and that psychobabble. If it's in your system, you're out. That's it.
It's illegal. They don't make distinctions for how much is in your system. But just for comparisons, to be devil's advocate here, when Ryan Garcia came back with the 2 positive tests for Ostarine back in 2024, the amount of the drug in his system was 60 times the allowable limit. So he had a lot in his system.
All right, but is it synthetic?
It is synthetic.
Okay, well,
some searching. I have not seen anyone come up with a plausible explanation of how Ostarine can get in your system unless it's put in your system. It's not a tainted, as far as I know, it's not a tainted supplement type of situation. But look, Sergio, you're the fighter here. Like, you are.
See?
I disagree. It is a tainted. It can be put in there. It can be put in there without them putting it on the ingredient. That's the point that I'm making. That's well, you can call it cross contamination. That's the politically correct term to use in order to cover people. But there are people out there that are intentionally putting it in products without actually saying that it's in there to give their supplement an unfair advantage over your supplement. So if I'm a manufacturer of a drug, of a supplement, right, and I have fair practices, and I'm clean with the way I produce my products, I'm very transparent where I get my ingredients from, and I have a product that I'm selling over the counter, and it's proven to give you energy or boost your performance or whatever, and I list my ingredients, and I sell it. And some people take it. It has mixed reviews. Some people say, oh, it works. Some people say it doesn't. But I'm not really selling a lot, right? But I have my competitor across the street who's marketing to the same audience with the same goal in mind, to boost energy, to boost performance, and to do all these other things that it can do, right? But my competitor is putting something in his that he's not listed on his ingredient. That's going to give him an unfair advantage over me. So if I'm a boxer and I'm going out and I'm looking at both reviews of both products, one has 5-star reviews with 5,000 people. The other has like 3.5 reviews with 5,000 people. And this is just me putting out a hypothetical scenario here, just to get you guys to understand what I'm talking about. So, like you and I, we're all consumers. When you go to Amazon, you look at reviews. Before you buy a product, you always look at the reviews, right? Especially if you're taking in supplements. So you're scrolling through the reviews, and all the people are saying positive things about this other guy's supplement, that it works faster. They saw results in a couple of weeks, yada, yada, yada. This person lost weight, blah, 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 blah. But the other guy, me, who's doing it the clean way, I'm transparent with my ingredients. I don't have anything hidden in there. My supplement isn't really working as fast as his. But what's the difference? The difference is manufacturer B has put something hidden in his. So what happens is that me as a boxer, I'm going to pick the manufacturer B. Why? Because it has better reviews. The results are coming back better from people who have consumed that product. I'm going to buy that one, thinking that the ingredients on there is what's on in the bottle. So when I'm taking it and I'm working out, I'm feeling good. I'm training. I'm running. I'm doing my workouts. I'm doing everything, right? Okay. I box. I win my match. In my head, I'm clean. They run a test. They take hair, blood, whatever. They find out in my system that I had a banned supplement in my system. I'm like, what? A banned supplement? I didn't take anything. All right, give over all the supplements that you've taken. And I give it to them. And they end up testing it and end up finding out that it had Ostarine in there. Now I'm labeled as a cheat, as if I intentionally took Ostarine, when in actuality, I only took what was given to me, and what was the ingredients on there did not state it had Ostarine in there. But because I took it religiously, because I really believed in this product, I'm going to have a lot of it in my system. You guys said 60 times over the limit. And it sounds like a lot, but the 60 times over the limit is only a certain percentage of grams. And that in and of itself doesn't really give you an unfair advantage in a fight. The left hooks of Ryan Garcia are the same left hooks he's always used to knock out other opponents. Devin Haney always had a flaw in his defense. When he shot the jab, he would shoot the jab, right? He would shoot the jab and leave his guard down, which left him open and susceptible to getting hit. That's a stylistic matchup issue, not an Ostarine issue. But because there are a lot of people who are fanboys of Devin the Dream Haney, they love to clamor, they love to clamp on that Ryan Garcia thing. Say it was the Ostarine. And then it doesn't help Ryan Garcia's case when he fights Rolly and he totally looks like a different fighter. Even though Ryan Garcia stated he had an injury, but no one's going to buy that. They're going to just say it's the Ostarine, as if Ryan Garcia never knocked out anybody before with his left hook. People know he's known for his left hook. That's all he's known for. It's not like he came into the fight knocking down Devin the Dream Haney with jabs. He used the same left hook he always uses. So there's nothing that Ryan Garcia did in that fight that made me look at him like, oh my God, he's extremely powerful. But there was nothing that Devin the Dream Haney did in that fight to make me believe that it wasn't anything but his technical flaws. And because of those knockdowns, Devin the Dream Haney has actually gotten better with his defense, believe it or not. If you watch that fight against Norman, you can see how he continually keeps that guard up when he jabs. Okay? So sometimes we can learn from our downfalls.
It's nasty work, man. They'll do anything for $1, period. This to justify reinstating Ryan Garcia coming off a loss and a suspension to fight for their belt February 21st against Mario Barrios, and to allow Subriel Matias to defend his titles. It's nasty work, man. But let me know what y'all think. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. It's your boy Blue signing off. I'm gone. Peace.
All right, so that's Blue Blood's take. That's my take on his video. I'm going to show you that this Ostarine thing is bigger than what these guys are talking about. A lot of people talk with emotions and they create content, and there's nothing wrong with that. And that's why, as critical thinkers, it's okay for you sometimes to disagree with who you like. I don't agree with everything. Like, there are a lot of people that I like to listen to, but I have a mind of my own, and I don't necessarily always agree with what they say. Okay, let me show you guys this for a second. Hold on here. That this Ostarine thing is bigger than just, the commission just deciding to just do what they want to do. It's bigger than that. It's bigger than that. Okay. I want you to look at this. This says Ostarine Contamination and Strict Liability on boxing. Understanding the crisis and protecting clean athletes. Okay. So I know the title, when you say protecting clean athletes, you would assume that the clean athlete is the one that did not get tested for Ostarine. That the so I'm going to use a real life example. So with Ryan Garcia and Devin the Dream Haney, you would think that the clean athlete was Devin the Dream Haney because he didn't test positive, and the dirty athlete is Ryan Garcia. But I want you guys to pay attention to this title. It's a little bit of word usage to kind of manipulate the narrative. The clean fighter can be the one who tested positive, who went in with the intention of being clean. So Devin the Dream Haney, your favorite clean boxer, could unintentionally one day test positive for a substance when he didn't intentionally want to gain an unfair advantage. It can happen to anyone. Matias, Ryan Garcia, there's going to be plenty more with this Ostarine thing. So the WBC is getting out ahead of it by raising the limit because they understand that, hey, nah, man, this Ostarine thing is bigger than what we think. And they're doing research behind the scenes that we aren't privy to. So it's very easy for people to get on YouTube or get on their social media platforms and just say, oh, this is unfair. This is about the money. They're just trying to reinstate Ryan Garcia. It's bigger than Ryan Garcia because there's another boxer that's included. We just love to use Ryan Garcia as a poster child of Ostarine, but it's bigger than Ryan Garcia. It's the whole industry of supplements that's at play here. So Ostarine contamination and strict liability in professional boxing. Okay. How Ostarine gets into clean supplements. This is where the cross-contamination plays a role. Okay. Contamination occurs through manufacturing and supply chain. That's what I've been repeating repeatedly. When Blue Blood kept talking, I'm like, no, guys, it's bigger than that. The WBC, they're a business. Boxing is a business. They're not trying to just raise, oh, you can take steroids, you can take whatever you want. Why Ostarine? Why particularly Ostarine? Because there's an issue there. We have to be critical thinkers. And I knew that ahead. That's why I said I'm going to do some research about this because I don't think that the WBC will just knowingly just do that just because. Oh, because they love Ryan Garcia so much. Oh, they're trying to reinstate Ryan Garcia. The reasons that Blue Blood gave were, in my opinion, very, very patronizing to his audience. I believe that Blue Blood, your audience members are smarter than that. And I think you owe them a better explanation than to just say it's because you're trying to reinstate Ryan Garcia or it's about the money. It's like the person it's like the black man who doesn't get the job and says, oh, it's because I'm black. No, maybe you just didn't interview well. Sometimes there are more, it's all the low hanging fruit reason is always easy to grab because it's low hanging fruit. It's much harder to think behind the low hanging fruit and climb higher to grasp a fruit that's much higher on that tree because it's going to take effort for you to climb to get on top of that low hanging fruit to get the fruit that's going to give you the nutrients that you need. In this sense, the facts that you need are going to require you to do a little bit of research and dig. You can't give people surface stuff. And when you give people surface stuff, they run with that. And it only fuels the divide. It becomes a Ryan Garcia versus Devin Haney thing. It's bigger than Ryan Garcia and Devin the Dream Haney. It's a whole boxing issue. Contamination occurs through manufacturing supply chain, shared vats, and mixing equipment between brands. So this idea that it cannot happen or the chances are low, I remember Sergio on that feed said it's nonsensical or psychobabble. Sergio gave psychobabble because he doesn't know the facts of how Ostarine could be, how cross-contamination can occur with Ostarine. Shared vats and mixing equipment between brands, residue lodged in machine valves, gaskets. It happens, folks. Now, it happens this way in cross-contamination, but it also happens with manufacturers intentionally putting in Ostarine into their ingredient without listing it on the label. So cross-contamination can happen both ways. One way, it can genuinely happen because of this definition that's given. Then the other way could be anthropogenically done. What do I mean by anthropogenically done? It means that by the hands of man, anthropogenic, by the hands of man, they intentionally infused their supplements with Ostarine without putting it on their label. But you have some supplements that will actually list Ostarine on their label. That's fair practice. Now, you as a boxer, you make the choice. Am I going to take this supplement that normally has Ostarine in it, or am I going to take the one that does not? However, you can pick the one that does not have Ostarine on the label and still be indicted as a cheater because of this type of cross-contamination that you see on my screen. The one that happens on accident through the manufacturing process. So imported raw ingredients already contaminated. So sometimes you can get ingredients that are imported that are already contaminated. It can happen. If it couldn't happen, it wouldn't be mentioned. If it was impossible, it wouldn't be mentioned. The strict liability trap. In boxing, you are responsible for anything found in your body, which is true. So Ryan Garcia, he took his hit. I'm responsible for what's in my body. He didn't deny that he had Ostarine in his body. He took full responsibility of it. But to say that he's a cheat, no. Intent does not matter for guilt. Okay? Now they're saying intent does not matter for guilt, only for punishment and severity. Okay? So yeah, he's guilty for having Ostarine in his system, but did he intend to cheat? That's why I disagree with Blue Blood when he said that he's a cheat. Even accidental contamination can lead to suspension, fines, or no contest. And we saw that happen with Ryan Garcia. I don't believe Ryan Garcia intentionally wanted to cheat. I just think that he had it in his system. And he faced his penalty as he should, because that was part of the law, the legal liability, the liability trap. These are case studies from other boxers that have happened to. We know it's happened to Ryan Garcia. He tested positive for Ostarine, evidence of contaminated supplements still suspended. So it wasn't as if like the boxing commission were trying to be on his side to say, oh no, we don't want to suspend him. There's a bigger issue with cross-contamination, as I keep saying. That's why that they're now changing the legal limit. But Ryan faced he did the time for his crime. We can't keep putting that label on him. We know Amir Khan, he proved no intent, banned for 2 years due to inability to prove contamination source. So that happened to him. So how fighters can protect themselves. Now let's talk about solutions, because now we can stay on the problems all day. Let's talk about the solutions. All right. How fighters can protect themselves. Only reliable protection. Only reliable protection. Use supplements with third-party batch testing. So now, when you're getting your supplements, you really have to do your due diligence to make sure that you have third-party batch testing. Not just from the manufacturer, but get somebody else to test that product to make sure it's clean. So you have to do your due diligence on your part as the boxer. You just have to. Because God forbid if you take something and you didn't do your due diligence, you're responsible, and the whole boxing world's going to label you as a cheat, even if you've had a career of being clean. All it takes is one time, folks. And don't have a character that people don't like. And Ryan Garcia, especially a lot of black people, they don't like the racist comments he made. So this is par for the course. They're really going to hang on this and call him a cheat and call him all sorts of stuff, because if you already hate him as a person and you find out that he took Ostarine, he's done. He's done. Look specifically for seals from NSF, certified for sport-informed sport or BSCG. All right. Look specifically for seals from NSF, certified for sport-informed sport or BSCG. So let me look here and see what NSF stands for. I'm gonna see what NSF stands for. Let me go here. Hold on. Let me see what NSF stands for. NSF. NSF. What does NSF stand for? NSF has multiple meanings depending on the context, most commonly standing for National Science Foundation. Okay, National Science Foundation. Yeah, so it stands for National Science Foundation. All right, so look specifically for seals from NSF, National Science Foundation, certified for sport information, sport or BSCG. Let me look up what BSCG is. BSCG. BSCG. BSCG certified. Okay, fighters now navigate The journey, blah, 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 blah. No, give me what it means, guys. What does it mean? Okay, in boxing, BSCG generally refers to two different entities. All right. Banned substance control group. B, ban, S, substance, C, control, G, group. So banned substance control group. So you have National Science Foundation or the Banned Substance Control Group. So look specifically for seals from these groups. All right. So that means that boxers have to be very, very careful. If you are hell bent and intentional on being a clean fighter, you have to go the extra mile to make sure that there's no crack in your armor, so to speak, in your approach. You can't leave any cracks in there, because if there's any loose ends or any cracks, then you're leaving yourself open with the probability that even though it may be a low chance, there's still a probability that you can test positive due to the cross-contamination element that I talked about earlier. All right, so that's my spiel on that. Give me leave a comment, guys. Tell me what you guys think. Do you think that the WBC are being idiots just by just raising the limit? And do you think I mean, do you agree with Blue Blood, or do you agree more with me that it's an issue that the WBC is just trying to get out ahead of? All right, leave a comment, guys. Tell me what you think. Until next time, peace.